All right, so Unreal Engine just dropped their 5.5 preview, and let me tell you, the developer forums are blowing up about it.
Yeah, it's causing quite a stir.
We're talking MegaLights, Nanite working on skeletal meshes, Path Tracer going production ready, the whole thing.
It's a pretty big deal.
So think of this as your, like, cheat sheet to the Unreal Engine 5.5 preview.
Your need-to-know highlights from all the chatter.
Exactly. What's got everyone excited? What are some of the potential hiccups people are bracing for? And what does it all mean for the future of game dev? Let's dive in.
Sounds like a plan.
First up, MegaLights. Probably the biggest news to come out of this preview.
Yeah, this is the big one. Thousands of dynamic lights working in real time.
It's insane. Remember that PlayStation 5 demo? The one that looked like a Michael Bay film, but with way better lighting?
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
That's MegaLights flexin'.
It really shows you what it can do.
And what it can do, like, I don't even have the words.
It's pretty impressive tech. And it's not just about making games look prettier either. This is huge for developers who want to create these, like, truly immersive worlds.
Right, right.
Imagine you're exploring this, like, dense jungle and the sunlight's filtering through the canopy, totally realistically. And it's casting these, like, dynamic shadows that shift as you move.
Oh, wow.
Or, picture this, a horror game where every, like, flickering light source feels like a lifeline.
Oh, I'm getting chills.
Yeah, it's MegaLights has the potential to make games feel so much more real, more intense, more, I don't know, more alive.
I think that's the perfect word for it, alive. Okay, so that's what's got everyone hyped. But I did see some folks in the forums, like Miguel 1900, sounding a little concerned.
Yeah, and it's understandable why. This level of realism, I mean, it takes a lot of power.
Yeah, that's true.
So while it might be a dream come true for high-end PCs and next-gen consoles, for, older hardware, developers are really going to have to get creative to make sure their games run smoothly.
It's always a balancing act, isn't it? Push the boundaries, but, don't leave anyone behind in the process.
Exactly. You got to strike that balance.
Now, MegaLights isn't the only new trick Unreal Engine 5.5 preview is showing off. The forums are also buzzing about Nanite finally handling skeletal meshes.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
Yeah.
This could be a game changer, especially for character detail and animation.
I know, right?
Yeah.
For our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with game dev lingo, what does that mean for them? What are they going to see?
Okay, so imagine characters with these, like, super intricate costumes moving so fluidly, like incredibly lifelike movements, all rendered in real time. No more stiff animations or anything like that.
That's what I'm talking
You're
about.
talking next-level realism, the kind that could blur the lines between games and, like, those CGI films.
Especially in RPGs and action-adventure games where character detail really matters.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, that's what I call an upgrade. And it sounds like Path Tracer is finally graduating to production-ready status, too.
It is. And look, if MegaLights is the lighting revolution, then Path Tracer is the cinematic experience upgrade. Like, imagine playing a game with the lighting of a Pixar movie.
Wow. Okay, now I need to see this.
It's pretty incredible. We're talking about super realistic reflections, soft shadows, the whole package. This level of visual fidelity, almost unheard of in real time before this.
Sign me up. Although I did see on the forums that both Nanite on skeletal meshes and Path Tracer are still flagged as experimental.
Yeah, they're still works in progress.
So should we be worried?
Yeah, it's just how preview releases go, It's all about testing and seeing what breaks. Think of it like this. It's like taking a brand new sports car for a spin on the track.
Yeah.
You want to see what it can do, even if that means, pushing it to the edge.
Risking a few scratches and dings along the way.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, I have to say I did chuckle a bit at Miguel 1900's saga with the audio engine errors. You see that thread?
Help. My game sounds like a robot gargling with nails. Yeah.
That one cracked me up. But all kidding aside, it does bring up a good point. Audio is so important, just as important as the visuals, I think, when it comes to creating an immersive game.
It's true. You don't always think about it.
Like, imagine a horror game without those creepy sounds, or like an action-packed shooter where the gunshots sound like, I don't know, popcorn popping.
Yeah, you need that audio to really sell it.
Definitely not something you want in a blockbuster hit. And then there were those, the performance drops that Revo 2 was posting about?
Yeah.
Especially in the editor with that whole hit proxy readback issue. Can you, and I'm asking for those of us who don't speak fluent game dev, what exactly is hit proxy readback?
Sure. So basically, hit proxy readback is how the Unreal Engine knows what you're clicking on in the editor.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's how you select objects and apply settings, that sort of thing. So when that goes out of whack, it gets real frustrating for developers.
Especially since it seems like Reevdo 2 wasn't the only one with issues. Secret Net Guy was having a hard time with RTX DI too.
RTX direct illumination. It's how you get those like crazy realistic lighting effects, but yeah, only if you have a top-of-the-line graphics card.
So it sounds like a lot of power users pushing this preview to the absolute limit, huh?
That's the point of a preview release.
Uh-huh.
Gotta find the breaking points, right?
Yeah, iron out all the wrinkles so they can deliver a polished, experience down the line.
Exactly. It's all about refinement.
And that's where things get interesting. Remember H.E. Fishy's post comparing Unreal to Unity?
Oh, yeah, that was a spicy one.
Talk about a grenade in the comments section.
People had some strong opinions.
Yeah, some folks were all about the comparison, breaking down the pros and cons.
They were ready for the engine wars.
And then others were like, come on, guys, can't we all just get along?
Yeah, you always get a bit of that.
But you know what it shows? The passion in the game dev community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. People care about their tools.
They do, and for good reason. But at the end of the day, each engine has its strengths and its weaknesses.
Right? It's not really about which is objectively better.
Yeah, it's about the right tool for the job.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
choosing between, I don't know, a scalpel and a chainsaw.
Both cut, but you probably wouldn't use them interchangeably.
Exactly. And, Unity, it's got roots in indie development, right? It's known for being easy to pick up and great for rapid prototyping.
Well, Unreal has that history with those high-end PC and console games.
Known for its visuals and its really robust tools for complex projects.
So H-Fishy wasn't just comparing features. They were highlighting this, fundamental difference in philosophy almost.
Yeah, they were. And I think that's super insightful.
It is, and it reminds us that there's so much variety in game development.
Oh, yeah. Tons of different engines out there.
It's like a buffet.
It is. You've got Godot, which is gaining popularity because it's open source.
And then there's Game Maker Studio, which is still going strong for 2D games.
And that's just to name a few.
A few of the big players.
Yeah, but there's so much out there.
It's true. Speaking of specific developer needs, that whole forum discussion about AI integration was really interesting.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
Seems like AI is the hot topic everywhere these days.
Game development's no different.
Definitely not. Some of the developers were geeking out about the possibilities.
Like using AI for procedural generation. Right?
Exactly. Or even creating, smarter NPCs.
And then there's the potential for automating some of the more tedious parts of game design.
Ooh. Now that I could get behind. It's
Yep.
fascinating stuff. It really could change how games are made.
Imagine AI that can help with level design.
Or balance the gameplay.
It could even write dialogue that changes based on what the player does.
Wild. Talk about a whole new world of possibilities.
It's exciting stuff, but
Oh.
there's always another side to the coin, right?
Right. Some people are a little concerned about the robots taking over.
I mean, understandably so. It's a
And,
valid concern.
It is,
Yeah.
especially in a creative field like game development.
Where human ingenuity is so important.
Exactly. So it's understandable to wonder, if AI will help or hurt that.
It's a good question and a tough one to answer.
No easy answers there, but it's something to think about,
Absolutely. We have to approach AI integration carefully.
for sure. Okay, so we've talked about AI now. Let's get back to the Unreal Engine 5.5 preview specifically.
Sounds good to me.
Plague Animator is still struggling with those Blackmagic Decklink integration issues.
Oh, yeah, that's been an ongoing thing, hasn't it?
Since Unreal Engine 5.3, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right. And it just goes to show how important it is to address those persistent bugs.
For sure. It's not all about the shiny new features.
You got to have a solid foundation.
Exactly, especially for developers who rely on specific hardware like those Blackmagic Decklink cards.
I mean, those are like the top of the line video capture cards.
The best of the best.
Yeah, professionals use them for like high-end films and broadcasts.
So if you're working on something like a live event or an AR experience, those cards are crucial.
Totally. So to have this issue stick around across multiple versions, that's frustrating.
Incredibly frustrating, I bet.
It's got to be.
Speaking of frustrating, Ulrich, Thumbler mentioned that the editor performance is taking a hit.
Yeah, I saw that post too.
Seems like that's pretty common with preview releases, though, right?
It kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, you're pushing the engine to its limits, trying new things.
It's like trying to cook in a brand new kitchen.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
You might have all the latest gadgets, but there's a good chance you'll burn something or set off the smoke alarm
At least a couple of times.
before you figure out how it all works.
Exactly. So we've got all this cool stuff, MegaLights, Nanite, working on skeletal meshes, but then there's also, performance issues and these bugs. what does it all mean for someone listening to this right now?
Good question. I think the main takeaway is this Unreal Engine 5.5 preview. It's like a sneak peek into the future of game dev.
Yeah, a glimpse of what's to come.
Yeah. Exactly. We're talking about game-changing stuff here. Tools and tech that can totally revolutionize how games look, how they feel, how they play.
Ooh, yeah.
But you got to remember, this is still a work in progress.
Right?
It's exciting,
Yeah.
but we got to be realistic too.
Yeah.
There are going to be bugs
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and performance hurdles.
Probably some new challenges too once everyone really gets their hands on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but at the end, we might just end up in this incredible new world of game development.
I love that. And for anyone who's ready to jump in right now, what's your advice?
Back up your projects. Read those forum posts. Don't be afraid to report bugs.
Seriously, your feedback is so valuable. It really helps shape the future of the engine.
That's right.
Okay, before we wrap up, is there anything else that stood out to you from the forums? Anything we haven't touched on yet?
You know what I did find interesting? That whole thing with a color median and the skeletal mesh support.
Oh, yeah, they were asking about it not being on the roadmap, right?
Exactly. And that got me thinking.
It's a little strange, isn't it? You'd think something that big would be front and center.
Right. So either it's an oversight, just a mistake.
Or maybe it's a sign of something more. Like a communication breakdown between Epic and the devs.
Or maybe they're saving it for a big reveal later on.
Ooh, a little surprise. One more thing. Moment.
You're such a tease.
Gotta keep things interesting.
I suppose. But speculation aside, it does show how important clear communication is.
Oh, absolutely. And a well-defined roadmap.
Especially for developers planning their projects around these features.
For sure. Reliable tools, clear expectations. That's the dream.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into Unreal Engine 5.5 preview.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot.
We did. But before we go, one final thought-provoking question for our listeners. As amazing as all this new stuff is, will Unreal Engine 5.5 address the concerns from developers who have been dealing with those persistent bugs?
Yeah, like Kiniganimator
Yeah.
and their black magic issues.
Exactly. Will it be a giant leap forward or a cautionary tale? We'll have to wait and see.
I'm excited to find out.
Me too. One thing's for sure, though. It's going to be an exciting ride.
I can't wait to see what the future holds for Unreal Engine.
Same here. All right, everyone. That's it for this deep dive into Unreal Engine 5.5 preview. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.